Hello, we're going to go through how to draw another head with the Loomis method. In this one, I start with a circle, a sphere, and I'm drawing over the reference here so you can understand the thinking of when we draw the actual head. We start with a line for the brow. You can see there's bigger shapes on the sides that will lop off, and you can see there's a perspective to the head. We're looking up underneath a little bit. We can see under the nose instead of like that. We can then from there kind of look at where the nose comes over on that same perspective to under the ear. This is the brow line and this is the hairline, and that's where the top and the bottom of the side circles that we chop off are at. And from here you can see I bring that line over to the nose, and then this is the same as this, is the same as this. The head is broken up into thirds. So it's a bit like once you start doing the Loomis method, then you can see where you're headed, and then you can see where to place things more. At first everything will kind of feel like it's sliding around and you're not sure. And after a while you'll know, okay, because this is here, then this should be this size, and you just see how everything starts linking together. And from there, I bring a line down, connect the chin to that bottom third, and just, this circle is a little bigger. I drew it around the hair, but you don't have to be perfect. It's more of a concept. Where we're gonna go from here eventually is you'll do very realistic drawings that have accurate proportions. And then the way you move into a stylized drawing is you can then play with those proportions. And that's where you get to start having more fun. So at first we do this, we do realistic, proper proportions of the human head, and then from there we'll move on to getting to play and have more fun. So after you have that, you go halfway between here and here, and that's the bottom of the eye socket, the orbital, I believe it's called. And then halfway between there and there is the eye line. So we've just laid that in. And then there's a rhythm you can take from the ear through the cheek down to the chin. You can see we've done that on both sides. So it's just a nice little smooth rhythm to make sure everything stays in line. And here I'm showing the thirds. 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Now the mouth's open a little bit, so that third's a little bigger. So if it was closed, you can see how that changes, so you need to adjust. And also, if the head was like this, the chin would be coming towards camera, so this would shrink down, this would be a little bigger, and this would be the biggest third. But you'll start to understand that. You'll start to understand perspective better, and construction and interlocking shapes the more you do this. I heard before, if you can draw a head, you can draw anything. So there you can see I put, this is halfway between here and here, and then the eye line is halfway between there and there. And the mouth is not exactly in the middle. Maybe the bottom of the lip is, but the opening of the mouth is a little bit above halfway. So we'll call it a third, another third between there and there. So with that roadmap, now we know where we're headed when we draw the head. And again, you're going to see mistakes I make. I put the eye in the wrong place. I move it at the end. But this isn't about being perfect at all. This is just learning how to put things together, and it's almost like everything will be all over the place and you'll just see it tighten up over time. So we start with a sphere, that same brow line in the middle, and now, like we talked about before, the top of the hairline will be, about 2/3 up, and then the bottom of the nose will be that. So I'm just marking where that lop off on the side of the circle will be at. And then I put in that third for the bottom of the chin, which is a little bigger again, because remember the mouth was open. So this is the side here where the ear is, and same with this ellipse on this side. This section here to here will be bigger than this section here to here. This will be a little bit smaller because of perspective. And then the head is wedged forward like this. If you look at the head from the top, the head's wider here and it goes in like that. So the circle's turned in a little. It's not a perfect chop off. Two parallel things. They're turned in. The face has a lot of those types of things. So from there, we're just marking, okay, the ear over here. If we follow the perspective down, it's on this little angle, so the ear will kind of be here, and then the nose will come up here. You can see that on my face, how it wraps around on both sides here. And then from there, what we're going to do is finish off I could see the nose was wrong. It was a little too high. And it's going to be like that. You're going to constantly put a line down, and then you're going to have to make adjustments. I don't know if you ever reached that where just everything you put down is in the perfect place. If you look at the Loomis books and manuals, you get the idea this guy was perfect. Like he just knew where to put everything, and you can't judge yourself like that. You know, who knows how many bad drawings he did, but I do bad drawings all the time. I was actually worried about even putting this drawing out because there's so many mistakes in there. But I thought, why not show like how much you go through. Some days you're on and you do really good drawings, and some days you're off, you know. So we put in that orbital line, which is halfway between here and here, and then I put in that eye line, which is halfway in between there and there. I did that nice little rhythm from the ear through the cheek, a little S curve down to the jaw, and now I'm marking the eyes. And this person, there should be an eye width between, and you can see just looking at the reference to what I'm putting down, I'm just putting down kind of mathematically where I think it would be, and I'm not like totally focused on the reference image. And later on you'll see that they have to move over. Her eyes seem to be a little more wider set apart than the average, the Lumis average. And then I put in those pupils on the balls just because it's easier to do that in the beginning for me than putting these eyelids in and then trying to fit this pupil in underneath there. And then on the corner of the eyebrows, there's another ridge that's on a slightly different angle that's cut off. And you can see that in there. That's what those second lines are in. They're right here. And then we're just throwing in the eyebrows. And everything's rough. Her one eyebrow is raised a little if you look at it, you know, and I that was hard to capture, you know. I can see right here, again, another mistake, that my eyebrow is a little too close to like where the eyelid ends, that shape. But later on you can see it once you start getting things down. And this drawing here goes through a long, ugly phase, and that's something you're going to go through a lot. A lot of drawings just have this thing you have to fight through, like much like in life, of you just keep pushing and you hope to make it through the other side by trusting the process. And they're not all going to be masterpieces. And again, that's why I put this out, to just show like it's a never-ending process of growth, and it's not about perfection. It's not about getting this place where you do everything perfect. So we roughed in the nose, roughed in a rough shape for the lips. I try to keep everything either a single C curve or a flat straight line. I did a little wraparound for the chin. The chin's round. Now I'm just roughing in the hair because the hair really is shaping the face in this one. And it's all about looking to relations to each other, how things relate. And now we're throwing in the bottom lids, and I try to keep them the same way, just to represent it with a straight line that kind of tells where things are. You can go back in later and refine everything, which we'll end up doing. And here I can see, okay, now that I've got that shape in, I can see how the pupils should play within that shape a little bit more. And everything's related. Every line informs another line of where things should be, and they're always constantly being shifted and moving. And here I'm looking at, you can do an arc from one eyelid to the other just to make sure things are in the right place. I can see the eye on the side here it's a little too big, but it's all right. We're staying loose. We're getting everything in place gradually. And the hair now, just blocking that in with simple shapes, simple C curves, maybe an S curve, and some straight lines. And the hair comes up, you gotta remember, the hair comes up off the skull. It pops up. It's not part of that ball shape. So maybe in mine, the hair is a little bit bigger than it should be, but we're not going for exact replica of a life. If you need that, you can just start measuring until you go crazy. I don't like doing that. I like refining my eye. I like keep learning how to make sure my eye's getting better and better, and not relying on calipers and rulers and things like that, because I don't walk around in daily life with those tools in my pocket. And learning these types of things will help you in all areas of design or sculpting or painting. You're just training your eye to be more astute. So I'm back in here, I'm playing with those lids. I know they felt a little wrong. I'm just trying to clean up. I could see the eye. If you look at that eye line I drew, I could see the one eye was shifted up. So now I'm just trying to lower that lid. Okay, that's feeling better, and that's trusting your eye. That's like, oh, something feels off and I need to do something to fix it and adjust it. So that's what I'm doing. And you can apply that to life too. Things aren't going to be perfect, barely ever. But what you can do is take a look and then try to figure out what's wrong and how do I fix this? What steps can I take to be better next time or more accurate next time, or not make the same mistake? Now in me, I can see right now in my drawing journey, I really need to maybe hone in and study how to lay these eyes in better and how to be more accurate with that. But that's okay, I got a lot of life left to live and a lot more to learn, I know. And that's part of me putting this stuff out there, is that I know there's people in front of me, above me, and under me. Maybe I know more than, and then there's people who don't know as much, and we're all out here to help each other. So I'm just putting out the things I've learned, what I'm working on, and trying to be a little more fearless, because I was held up with perfectionism for a long time. Of like, I can't put this out, everybody will know I don't know how to draw, and I'm not part of the cool art crowd or whatever, but it's okay. I'm getting to the point where I don't really worry about being cool anymore. Okay, laying in the nostrils. She's got a little, a little asymmetrical type thing going on with those nostrils. And you can see I'm keeping the brush super rough and big, because if it gets all tiny and precise, you'll start getting married to those lines and you won't want to change them, and you'll put all this work in. So don't be afraid to take passes. Lighten up the pencil and put it in the right place. It's always a process of reviewing the marks you made, judging them against each other, and seeing what's right. So I put in the dark little corners of the mouth there, an indication of her teeth. Her teeth are tilted and asymmetrical too. Now I'm reworking the underlying drawing, and always trying to make sure I have the lines I have down are clear and they tell the story I want to tell, and they're not detracting. So I'm knocking a lot of things back right now. Not totally erasing them, but just softening them so it's clear the marks I want to be making and the statement I want to be making. Here I could see that space between the side of the face and the hair, more clear of what that shape should be. It's a lot of looking at overall 2D shapes and proportions of things and adjusting, because your mind and your eye will mislead you and lie to you a lot, and maybe sometimes you overcompensate for things or undercompensate. So again, always adjusting. Here I can see the jawline needs to be pulled in. I want to refine that a little bit more. I want to pull that down a little bit more. I don't mind the line being a little thicker under there, because it shows that's where the shadow would be. Cleaning up some lines, underlaying lines, or construction lines from before. I can tell you right now, I remember drawing how worried I was that this isn't going well. But it's okay. It's okay for a drawing not to go well. You know, I think there's still things that we can all learn, that I learned. I know in this one I started to lean on the shading eventually to help shape the face and tell the story. And that's just another tool you can use. Just these flat lines were leaving something to be desired for sure. So now I just drew in the neck. It has this little cross shadow here that was difficult. I tried to pop the neck into the torso, traps, collarbone, little diamond thing that happens right here. But not get too focused on it. Just indicate that's what's going on and show how things are connecting. So now here you can see I'm starting to put these shadows in to just try to get a feel, because I could see the nose right now is very 2D and it's not exactly like the reference, and I was just struggling like, oh, how do I start tying this in to look more 3D. And then this hair, I felt, okay, well, I can block this in and get this big shape to start anchoring it. And this is normally something I wouldn't do. I haven't shadow mapped everything out or anything yet, but it just felt like, okay, I can maybe take a little rest, and I know this hair is dark and I can fill it in a little, and maybe when I come back I'll have some fresher eyes, because of just right now I'm just focusing on shading in a way, just blocking in some shading and getting that feel for it, instead of trying to all the precise stuff I had been doing, and hoping maybe when I come back to draw the face, maybe this missing piece could inform some other things, like show me, how far away it would be from the eyebrow and the spaces and the 2D shapes that I still might need to adjust. And then it also lets me know, like here I'm doing the ear, and it's like, okay, well that chunk of the side of the hair feels about like the right shape, and okay, the ear feels like, okay, it is in the right place. And that's part of it. Like, I didn't trust this method for a long time, the Loomis method. I don't even know if I still do. It's like I didn't really know where to put things and understand things. But as you go through, you start getting a confidence of like, oh, that's actually kind of in the right place where it should be, so I can trust this more in the future. Here, it's almost the same concept. I'm filling in those pupils, just with hopes of like, maybe if I shade this, I'll understand a little more. Now here I can look like, oh, the eyes are way too close together. That right screen right eye needs to definitely move over, and I do that eventually. But if you're looking at this and you're like, Alfie, can't you tell? Because I watch drawing videos and like, can't you tell it's off? It's like, you get lost in it. You're a little too close to the drawing at times, and also there's a pressure on recording it. I don't want to mess up. I don't want to have to start over or do it again. I don't want to feel like it was wasted time or anything. But it's okay. I can adjust later. And here's a good little thing. You saw I erased those highlights out, and then you kind of put the pupil in under it, and then a cool thing is you can gradiate, so the light's coming this way. You can gradiate from dark down to lighter, and it gives that real effect. I haven't done it in here. It's just something I know you can probably add in later. But so like the highlights coming in, and then it's hitting that iris, and it'll make it lighter there because it's capturing the light, and then it'll fade off into darkness as it tucks under that eyelid above, because that eyelid is also casting a shadow. So adding in a little more detail in the little hairs. It's always important to get small, medium, and large shapes in everything. So we got that big hair shape, right? And then now we're getting these medium wisps, and then we're getting those small defined hairlines and maybe little flyaways and things along the side. And if you just hit those three shapes in anything you're doing, you can describe form pretty well, or the illusion of form. So now I'm leaving that highlight you see on the front of her hair to say, okay, it's darker here, it's turned away from the light, it's catching light here, and then it turns away again as it tucks under. And it gives that impression of, again, 3D. And you can see it's lighter in front and it turns away. And rendering is all about gradients. Just If you see two values abruptly next to each other, it always feels off. But if you can make sure everything flows in, you can take the reference away and just make sure everything's flowing in and out, and you can achieve a semblance of reality from that alone. Here, I'm trying to pull those eyelashes out. I just keep feeling like, man, these eyes, something is off with these eyes. This is good. I pulled that eyebrow up a little bit above the other one, like in the reference, and I'm just like, maybe it's the nose, but yeah, that right eye is just staring at me because I know I fix it later. But but I tried. You can see, yeah, there's supposed to be an eye between them, but there's really not, and it's way too over, especially with the nose turned over a little bit too. My nose is a little too straight on. So I'm just dropping in those shadows, those drop shadows where I can, of hope to save this drawing, to capture it. And you almost have to, be inventive with the highlights and where you want to put the shadows, because I don't, it's all white underneath there. It would take a lot for me to get all that tone in with this broad brush and leave those little highlights you see everywhere. It would take a lot more. And these drawings aren't about that. These drawings are, how do I get a good start to laying the head in? Because if you do this over and over again, it'll get easier and easier. But if you spend 9 hours of shading and rendering something and you only get one drawing out of it, you're not going to improve that greatly in the construction of the head. So you want to get in as many as you can. You can see I erased that line, that hard line I had on the chin, and then just put that soft sweeping line. And it starts getting a style, or it starts making sense a little bit more. And I'm doing the gradient right there. You can see the nose just ended too abruptly, that nose shadow. So I just made sure it softened and had a fall off at the end there. And I'm bouncing around here, and when I'm bouncing around, I'm like, is this wrong? Is this wrong? Is this in the right place? Does this feel right? And I was like, the mouth, it doesn't feel too wrong. I mean, it's a little messy, but everything seems about right where it should be. When I bounce my eyes back and forth, I'm always bouncing, looking at the reference and looking at the drawing, and just trying to see, oh, what feels off? What feels wrong here? Here we go. Here we go, moving the eye over. I was like, oh, you know what I remember doing too? I looked at the eyes and I drew like an invisible triangle from here to here, and I saw like, oh, that's what it is. And that's things you'll come up with too, is like you'll just start like doing these comparisons. And a triangle is a great comparison because it's a pretty simple shape too. But you can look at it like that, you can flip it here, move it down to there. And then I was like, here at this point I definitely was excited. And I was like, okay, this can be something for sure that I can share and put up and talk about. That, oh look, I messed up, and it's always fixable. If this was on regular paper, you would just knock it back and then redraw it over there. But you're probably not going to make that mistake again, because when you draw the face again, you're going to be looking. You've had this experience now, and you're going to be like, I'm going to really nail those eyes. And that's something I know myself. It's like, you got to nail the eye. If you don't get those eyes, it's just, it's not going to be convincing, and it's not going to be good. And I'm leaning more here on putting that shading in, a little shading under to show how the orbital folds in from the brow. And here I'm trying to do those fall offs under the chin. There's a nice, cast shadow over there from the head. So it looks like there's multiple light sources. Like there's a filling in that cast. There's one over here. You can see just under here it's not getting any light, that little triangle. So I made the brush really big, and just trying to, like I was just saying, trying to get that skin tone in. It's difficult. So I have to push all this that's midtones into highlight and just kind of wash them out, and then just kind of describe the shadows a little bit more. You saw I went over the bridge of the nose there. I'm going to fix that up. But I was just like, oh, I can put these broad strokes in, and then I can erase them back later for sure. So here, just getting that cast shadow in. I think in a bit, I tighten the brush up, and I just I'm getting the broad strokes now. It's always good to go from big to small with everything you do. And you can see the brush getting smaller and smaller, and I'm just trying to get that large, medium, and small shapes in there. And this drawing, if you know, my style's all over the place, I feel at least, and this felt like, oh, this is just like, you know, a nice, this is a first thing in the morning, first getting up, getting ready drawing too. Like this is just a warm-up in the beginning of the day. So at this point I'm starting to be like, oh, okay, I'm starting to warm up, I'm starting to see things more clear and feel better about it. And a lot of days it's all I get is a warm-up. You know, I don't get to spend my whole day drawing, but I just try to get something in, you know, every day, every other day, just not miss too much, so you're always progressing and you're always learning. And you know, this isn't a real, job that I've ever had where you can draw portraits, or anybody's going to be paying for anything like that to a point you can have a career. But it informs everything else I do. You know, I'm comparing small, medium, and large, 2D shapes, contrast, lighting, and it plays into everything. Like I've said this in another video, you'll start talking to people and you're having a conversation, but you're studying their face, and you see them turn, and you see how the light plays, and you're in this whole other world of being an artist that other people aren't participating or seeing or refining every day. And you just start to appreciate the beauty in life in all these little areas, in a leaf, in a flower, in somebody's face, on the shadow under a car. I just have so many aha moments of realizing things when I'm not even truly making art. I'm just living my life, and I'll find new examples of things I've been working on, and they'll snap and click into place at the weirdest times. So just shading in the ear, I saw, oh, the face is all shaded, but I was like, these ears are still white. And now I'm just I'm taking another pass around the whole drawing, trying to fill things out, trying to make them feel right, trying to turn that form on the side of the hair over there so everything looks like it's going back in space. I could see that shadow under the chin was a little stronger. And just taking this final pass. Here I'm doing the T lines, so like where anything butts up against, like where that trap is hitting her neck, I try to make sure whatever line is in front of the T is a little darker, and so it just is informing the viewer of this is in front, this is in behind, and that's where clarity comes in. You just try to be clear about everything in the drawing, so nobody's confused or anything like that. And that's it. This is where I stopped it. It could have been better for sure. It could have been worse, but you show up and you do it. It's always better than not doing it. And I just want to put this out here with everybody and share it with you, and hope it helps. You can learn from my mistakes. You can see what to do, what not to do, how I go about things. And I'm just happy you watched, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.